How's it going, everybody? This is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. If you are an avid listener of the podcast, yes, I can confirm that you are indeed in the right place and listening to the right podcast. After 100 episodes and change, we decided to switch things up a bit and have a brand new intro to bring to the podcast. You know, as realtors, we need to refresh our brand every once in a while, and podcasts are no different. And I'm feeling this new music. I like the vibe it's giving off. In today's episode, I'm excited to have Amy Reuter from our Washington Township office on the podcast with us. Amy is a certified luxury home marketing specialist and has been a consistent top producer in the New Jersey area, earning Chairman's Circle Gold Honors, the New Jersey Circle of Excellence Award, and recognized as one of Philly Mag's top real estate producers for 2024. Today's topic is connecting with intention, how going old school can help you win more business in 2025. In an era dominated by digital communication, Amy and I will explore the timeless value of personal connections and traditional methods in building lasting client relationships. We'll discuss timeless strategies like handwritten notes, community involvement, and face-to-face interactions, and other techniques that foster trust and set you apart in a crowded marketplace. So let's get right into the conversation and go old school with Amy Reuter. I'm happy to have my new friend Amy Reuter from our Washington Township office on the podcast with us today. Amy, how's your 2025 going so far?
So far, so good. Everything's better when we have a Super Bowl win in our area here. It's been absolutely phenomenal to be a Philadelphia area fan.
My first question to you, was that you climbing the pole?
I would have. I was next in line. That guy just got up there before me. Yeah.
Man, I'll tell you what, you got to show up bright and early to start climbing the poles around.
You sure do.
Well, today, you and I are talking about connecting with intention, how going old school may help you win more business in 2025. And as we all know, in today's real estate marketing, so much is made of having a strong presence online or posting killer content on social media in order to grow your business. And I don't necessarily disagree with that notion, but lost in the shuffle of what we think we need to do are the tried and true things that we should be doing to find more transactions. So you and I are going to discuss what we mean by old school relationship building in order to get more business this year. All right.
Ready. Excited to talk about this topic.
Yeah. So first question, in today's digital age, why do traditional networking methods like face-to-face meetings and handwritten notes remain effective for real estate professionals, in your opinion?
This just totally speaks to me because I've always done more traditional marketing. I do try to do a mixture of both now, but I feel that what we do it's really at heart a relationship built business. So getting to know our clients, even before they're our clients, just kind of getting to know people, whether it be watching them on social media, not watching them in a creepy way, watching them, getting to know people, and again, past clients, building relationships. You're helping them to either sell a home, move, buy a home. It's one of the biggest financial things they're ever going to do. You're learning about them intimately with their finances, with their personal, maybe family dynamics, whether it be, a situation like a death or a divorce or a relocation for a job, and getting to know them on that personal basis with traditional methods such as, phone calls, meeting for coffee, things like that. I feel like that really builds and deepens a relationship. Like with any good relationship, you have to work on it. You have to keep at it. You can't just send them an auto email once a month and expect that they're going to give you a call. So I think it's really traditional methods is actually, I'm a little heavier that way even than digital marketing. And I think it's so important for what we do.
I like what you said there, that you have to, actually reach out to your people, not just send them something automated, once per month and assume that they're going to call you. And you are so right. I feel like as agents, we get in our own heads so much that sometimes when we pick up a phone to call somebody, we get nervous that we've already had a great relationship with. They've given you a great review online, right? They'll go to bat for you, recommend you, but yet we hesitate when it comes to picking up a phone and just having a conversation with these people that we've nurtured this relationship with for, let's say, 6 months while you're actually looking for a property together. And so to your point, I started to do that with intention this year, picking up a phone and actually calling my people. So I made 3 calls yesterday to past clients just to talk to them and just to see how they are and to plan on me stopping by for 15 minutes or a half an hour next month, so they're not caught off guard. So
it went well. They were receptive, I suppose.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think again, I think a lot of it comes down to just having the confidence to say, these were people that we really hit it off in the past, and there's no reason why we won't hit it off again in the future, right?
Exactly, right. I think it's important for our clients to know that we're here for the duration. It's not like when settlement happens and they get their keys and we get our paycheck. It's not over for me anyway. The relationships is one of the biggest parts of this business that I love. And I think communicating with the phone call or a handwritten note or bomb, I think that kind of marries both when you can do a quick 20 or 30-second video message to them. It's personalized, but yet it's also adds to efficiency. So you can kind of get a bunch out at the same time. But it adds the human element, which is really important.
I think you bring up a sneaky good tip when it comes to BombBomb, and you can send BombBomb through text. And so you could do a personalized message for each of your clients. Like you said, you could record one and just send it out to multiple people. I think that brings us to my next question to you is, how do you personally balance traditional networking methods and modern digital tools? So you bring up a great one right there. But is there anything else that you do to maximize client engagement by blending those together?
So what I like to do as far as personal connection with them is I do try to meet my clients where they're at. If you have older, maybe I'm generalizing, but sometimes older clients, they might not want to get the text messages, or maybe they don't check their emails. So with them, you may have to do more traditional, the phone call, the pop by, the handwritten note card, which I know that an older generation does really appreciate that lost art of handwriting a note. That I get that feedback sometimes, like, wow, that was so nice that you actually took the time to write me a handwritten note and not just a mass mailing. So it does depend on who you're working with. But I do try to do both. And the traditional, I feel like that's more emotional. It's more relational. The modern is definitely more efficient. You can do more touch points because you can automate a lot of things, whether it be social media posts or emails. I have never been a big person on the automated Happy Halloween, Happy Veterans Day. Because I like to market to people how I receive marketing well. And I don't, that just clogs up my inbox. To me personally, God bless everybody who does it, and everybody has their own style. But to me, it's just, there's no value in that. So I do try to do some online, but it would have to be personalized to the person or the neighborhood. If there's some big news in a neighborhood, a new shopping center, a new restaurant, a market update, and even those aren't blasted to everybody, but people I think will be interested in that. I really do kind of pick and choose what I send out that way. Of course, I do social media. I think that's a great way, very cost effective, and a great way to show people your personal side, whether it be videos or photos. I like to update personal things as well, because I think people don't want to just see your business information on your social media. They want to see the person behind the business or within the business as well. So to do both together.
It sounds like you do everything with intention.
Absolutely.
And I've talked on this podcast before, and I've really kind of kind of dunked on the people who do exactly what you were talking about with a happy Halloween or
Oh,
get your
yeah.
clocks back. And to me, it serves no purpose. And you brought up a great point earlier. Like, think about what you receive marketing wise and what works on you. So before you actually send something out to somebody, think about what works for you. Like, if you get a handwritten note, I know I'm like, oh, that's awesome. They took the time out of their day to write me a handwritten note and also know something personal about me too. I
Right.
think that's a big key. And then you had mentioned like digital marketing. You could do things to set a baseline for yourself. That's what I like to say. The set it and forget it stuff is that baseline that at least you know something is going out of value to your people, and then you add on top of that. Is that kind of what you do?
That's definitely what I do. And I think on social media, I do like to do also a mixture, not only a little bit of personal stuff thrown in there, but I do a mixture of valuable items like market updates. Also, people really respond well to funny things or even polls. People love to interact, right? Or funny or strange real estate stories or a celebrity home or whatever. So I do kind of mix up even my social media content. I'm huge. I've always been huge. I can thank my mother, but I've always been huge on thank you notes, handwritten thank you notes. So if somebody meets me for a cup of coffee, I write them just 3 sentences. It took me 2 minutes to do, but it is impactful. So I do write a lot of handwritten notes, or if it's somebody I haven't seen in a while, I'll just reach out to people that way. If I know somebody just had a baby or a grandbaby, send them a special card just for their baby. Just to know them personally, I think definitely goes a long way also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, they are a part of, like you said, hopefully moving forward. This isn't going to be the last time that you talk to these people. Hopefully, this will be in perpetuity, right, throughout your career. And so, how do you build on that relationship to make it stronger? And I think you do that, like you talked about, in several different ways. So, I want to circle back to the phone calls. So, in what ways do you or do you make your regular phone calls or annual client reviews? How do they contribute to your client retention and trust build within your sphere of influence when you actually do that?
Well, I think staying in touch with past clients specifically, it definitely reinforces the fact, like I said earlier, that I'm not going anywhere after closing. I will reach out to you and, make sure things are going well. Do you have any questions on the home? Is there anything I can help you with as far as that goes? you know, I think that's just really important to make sure that you stay present to them and let them know you're a resource should they need any questions. If they're new to the area, I've had people, I let them know, reach out to me if you need recommendations for even something completely not real estate related, the best restaurant in town, where, what are the family doctor practices in the area. So I think that's really important. And to check in on life events. Someone I just closed on, she just told me she was pregnant with her second baby. So I have a note to make sure that I touch base with her, throughout, see how she's feeling, things like that. So I think I do keep a notes in my notes app on my phone when I'm with clients and they mention something offhandedly. When I have a second, I do jot that down so that I can then put it in my CRM and remember to do things. And people are like astounded that, wow, how did she remember? My dog's name is Blue and his birthday's next month and I'm having a dog party for him or whatever. As silly as it might be, people appreciate remembering things like that.
Well, there's nothing more flattering than somebody remembering something personal about them. And it just speaks to human psychology and how we all operate. I know when people remember something about me, it's the same thing. I'm impressed. I want to work with that person that goes the extra mile to acknowledge and appreciate me. Right. And I'm not just another number. I'm not just a mark to get basically more business out of, right? I actually genuinely try to care about my people. And it certainly sounds like you do that as well. So, do you, and this is, this is the first time that you and I are speaking really at length about real estate. And so do you involve yourself in local social clubs? Do you have memberships to different places? Do you join business groups or community events to enhance your visibility and your credibility with your target market? Like how do you join, I guess, it sounds like you have a good grasp on your local market, but do you intertwine yourself to get new clients and meet new people within your community?
I do. I think I have different ways that I stay engaged with people in my community. One of the most important places that I value spending my time and getting to know people is within my church. I mean, people know you, they like you, they trust you. You're at activities, you're at events. Going outside of the norm, right? Like helping out with different events and things like that. And then people, when they remember you, they remember. She's the one who ran that dinner last year. Oh yeah, she did it. You know what I mean? Things like that. So I think within my church, for sure, I do a lot with that. I run several American Red Cross blood drives per year, so I get to know people, and not from a business perspective. It's not Amy Reuter, realtor, who's running that. It's just a personal thing that I've always done. But I will wear a shirt, of Berkshire Hathaway. You got to brand yourself a little bit, so I will do that. But then people get to know you that way for doing things in the community. I've played with a tennis group for probably 15 years now, and you get to know people that way really well. So it's really across the board of different ways that I do try to network with people that are natural and organic to me. I'm not trying to do something that's not comfortable for me. And I think that's where my personality can shine, and that's where people really get to know me and, potentially want to work with me.
I think the best thing that any agent can do in our business is kind of blend together your passion and your business. And you had talked about kind of like the blood drives being one of those things where you're not setting out to get business from it. You're setting out to help the community because you care, right? And I think leading with authenticity is always going to win. It's always going to win out, when you're out there. So think about the things that you're passionate about. You mentioned tennis, right? Or for me, it might just be walking around town and going to the local restaurants, and we meet a lot of the local vendors, and they all know you when you walk in. That goes a long way to build trust, like you talk about with your people. And if you can marry your passion with your business, that's going to ultimately grow, right? Do you want to say anything about that further?
Absolutely. No, I agree. I agree. Just being genuine to who you are and to what you're interested in will show your personality and will show how passionate you are. Because, for instance, real estate isn't just a job to me. This sounds so hokey, but I really genuinely do love my job. I love what I do. So if people can see me in another light, doing a blood drive or playing tennis or something, and they see that I really love that, they're going to see the same thing with me when they're working with me in real estate, because I just love what I do. I love all aspects of it. And I think that shows through to my clients too. And I think it's important for any agent to make sure that they're getting to know people in their natural, environment. If
their natural habitat.
Yeah, in their natural habitat.
Can you share a personal experience where, say, an old school approach, such as meeting a client for coffee or sending a handwritten note, led to a successful business outcome? So let's get specific here. Is there something specific that you can mention that really worked for you and maybe stuck out in your mind like, oh, wow, this really helped my business?
Yeah, for sure. I just recently, I won't say recently, probably started about 18 months ago. So I was at an event and got to speaking with another woman who was working at this community event with me. And we just got to talking about how, sadly her husband had passed away recently, and she wasn't sure what she was going to do in the future. And she was just overwhelmed and everything. So I did invite her out to coffee, and she joined me. She just wanted to get away from it all and just sit down for a little bit and just chat. And I I won't say allowed. Our conversation was very easy with regard to her personal situation and what was going to happen. And she was overwhelmed about selling this house that they had. And I didn't know anything about where she lived, or, I really did come at it from a personal caring about her, having the empathy and trying to help her from the real estate side of things. I didn't have in my mind, and hopefully I can list her house when she wants to sell. And I did, over the course of those 18 months, I did share with her resources, shared with her, I did it, of course, a market analysis for her home and let her know the equity, let her know attorneys that she may need to speak with and different things that she would need to know along the line. So eventually after all of that, she was confident enough to, make the move to downsize. And so she did hire me to sell her house, which turned out to be one of my biggest listings I've ever had. Sold that house, and then she referred me to her client who had just as gorgeous of a house as she did. So really, in the end, I did meet with her personally to show empathy and to guide her and be a resource from my industry. And it turned out to be two fantastic sales for me. So I think when you're not out to get business, business comes.
I mean, we all go on vacation and all of a sudden we get busy, right? I think it's because we're not thinking about business. We're thinking about going on vacation or relaxing a little bit. Sometimes I think, the bird in hand that we have, sometimes we grip it too tight, and we have to kind of just be out there living our lives and it comes to us. And I think you bring up a good point that just by showing a little bit of empathy led you down a path where you get multiple transactions from it. And I feel like we just never know where our next great client is going to come from. And so just be at the forefront and be out there meeting people is the most important thing. Or, showing a little empathy, a little sympathy, just being a human being out there and talking to people is, I think, the biggest thing, because a lot, and you had mentioned certain age groups before, like, the older people might enjoy, say, a handwritten note, right? Whereas I feel like the younger people that get into real estate are so focused on social media and video and online stuff that they often, and again, this is not all of you, but they forget that you have to actually be out there face to face, voice to voice with people, because that's just as important in nurturing your people and getting more business. You spent a lot of time on this podcast already talking about like a personal touch. And so how does the personal touch of traditional methods impact client perceptions and decision-making processes in real estate transactions? Like you just mentioned one, but can you expound on that a little bit?
Well, personal connections when clients are buying or selling a property, that definitely adds to their level of trust. Building that rapport is really important in letting them know you're genuinely there for their best interest. It's not a sale, or it shouldn't be just a sale in this business. So doing that can ease their concerns. It helps, for instance, for a buyer, it would help me or any agent to understand their needs better so that you can properly, maybe recommend different properties or things like that. Ultimately, it can help make the process quicker and smoother if you really get to know them and you're hearing their needs and you can guide them in the right way. It also adds to, like I said before, empathy. If it is a sadder situation, a divorce or a death, something like that. And when they know they can trust you, the clients feel more confident in what they're doing. I mean, let's face it, this is an incredibly emotional thing to do in a lot of cases, to buy or sell a property. So when a client can have that trust in their realtor, it does ease their anxiety, and it can turn what could be a difficult or chaotic or stressful transaction. It just takes that down a couple levels, because they know that there's somebody in this with them who really wants the best for them in the end.
I think also when it comes to personal touch, like you had mentioned, I think sometimes when we go out to these properties, we don't build rapport enough. We don't spend enough time actually talking to people, just getting to know them a little bit. I think the more we get to know each other, like you had mentioned before, that goes a long way to building that trust and therefore makes the whole process smoother. On the buying side, it's really talking to people and getting the clarity about where they want to be, who they are, lifestyle stuff, like what's important to them, what's going to be around them. All that rapport building goes into clarity to make your job easier in the long run, and it helps you build that relationship with your people. So, can you discuss the long-term benefits of maintaining personal connections with clients versus focusing primarily on digital interactions?
Well, I think there's something to be said for both of them being married together. It gives you a really well-rounded marketing effort. Like I said in the beginning, I have always been more of the traditional approach, and I think that does. I think that really does help for this business, and again for people to remember you. They want to do business and refer you to people that they know, they like you, they trust you, and you're always showing that you care about them in their life after closing.
Like you said, it's not one or the other. It's really kind of both. Sometimes your digital transactions or interactions with people are important, liking something on Facebook, commenting on, say the death of a family member. But I also like then to follow up with, say, a handwritten note that if something tragic or something great happens in their life, that they receive something personal from you on top of that. You're going that extra mile to show them that you care about them and what's going on in their lives. And so you had mentioned earlier in our conversation that some cost-effective and traditional networking activities that sometimes in our business we are throwing money away, in my opinion. On stuff that really doesn't matter or really doesn't get us business. And we think we need to do that. So what are some low cost, highly effective traditional networking activities that new agents can implement to build their client base without relying heavily on paid online lead generation?
So the first thing I would say, it would be the digital approach, right? Social media is free. You can get such a broad reach. You can show your personal side as well as your professional side, and have people have confidence in you that you know what you're talking about when you talk about the market or about real estate. So you can do Instagram, do Reels, do TikTok, answer questions. I did a 30-day series recently on TikTok and put it on other social as well. And every day I answer just a very basic real estate question that people may not know. What happens at the final walkthrough? Who sits with us at settlement? What can I expect for closing costs if I'm a buyer or a seller? If I'm a seller, should I be home during showings? So I did a 30-day series where it was like a 1 minute or a 2 minute video every day that I put up, and I got a lot of great reaction from that. So that's free. That's something that that really can be a source of information for people. Even just being active on social media. If there's a local real estate group or just a local community group and people are asking real estate questions, to answer them, to help them, to refer, community members without asking for the business. Also, you can do host community events. Like I said, a blood drive. Now, I mentioned I did that personally. You can do it as a branding thing too from your business, is hosting this blood drive or a coat drive or a food drive. There's so many great needs, and that's multi-layered because you are doing something great for the community, but you're also having your name on it and your business name on it. So it leads to people knowing that you're, a good person doing something good for the community. I know people who have organized yard sales in a community that maybe they farm. So you can organize it months in advance and set the date and do the marketing for it. Go around and check on everybody, make sure they're all set up that morning. Bring them coffee from Dunkin' Donuts if you want, or partner with a local coffee shop and have them, support that as well. And that's a really great way to get your face to a community if you're trying to work on a specific neighborhood.
You prove the point that you don't have to break the bank to be effective. And I think that it really comes down to creativity, or to think things through a little bit more when it comes to our marketing, especially when you're newer to the business, because you're like, how am I going to get business? And at that point, you really don't know how things kind of work. Maybe intuitively you do a little bit, but
Right.
something that you learn over time, like this is going to not only affect my community, it gets my name out there, but I also help people. And I think if you just keep it in that context and that kind of frame of mind, the rest will take care of itself. You know.
Yes, absolutely. And again, it goes back to being, your natural self, being authentic, doing causes that you care about. And that's going to show through more than asking for business or buying Zillow leads or, whatever it is.
What advice would you give to real estate professionals looking to integrate more intentionally? So, we talked about being intentional. What advice would you give those agents, and traditional networking practices? What can they incorporate into their business model in 2025 to get more business?
Well, what's worked for me again is kind of a nice mixture. I think that focusing on past clients or potential future clients are really just your sphere, and being intentional about going on social media, not to scroll for 30 minutes, but go on there 10 minutes a day and check your check what's going on with people, what they're posting about, what's important to them. There's also a way, I don't know how many people do it, but that you can make groups. So I do have a group on my Facebook page. Because of my age, I'm deep into Facebook, but I do Instagram and TikTok. But that's just where I go mostly. But
Yeah.
I have a group set up that are just past clients. And so if I want to post something that I don't need everybody to see with regards to real estate, it can go on in just to that group. It's not a private group, so they don't know that they're in it. Also, if I have 10 minutes, I'm just going to go on Facebook and check that group and see who's posted what. So I don't have to scroll through all the nonsense to just see what's happening with my past clients. So I can get those handwritten notes out about, the kid graduated from college or whatever it may be. And that's a really targeted way for me to go on there and see what's happening with them.
Amy, I love that. I love that idea. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to take one thing away from this podcast right there, that's something
It's very helpful for sure.
yeah, I was just going to say, you can kind of whittle it down to see what your people are doing and do things with intention, like we talked about. And you had mentioned Facebook, and I had said this before, that when it comes to social media, like you said earlier on this podcast as well, you got to meet your people where they are. So wherever they're going to be, you meet them. I think the point and the thrust of this is that it's not one or the other, but I like to incorporate all aspects of marketing into what we do in order to gain more business, and especially that relationship building. Whatever that's going to be, you need to do that. And so I have one more question for you. I like to end our podcast with kind of like an offbeat question,
Okay.
something that you're going to be a little surprised by. I think you'll be able to answer this.
I'm ready.
So
Okay.
I see that you graduated from St. Joe's.
Oh, yes.
The
The hawk will never die.
Hawk will never die, by the way. So with a bachelor's degree in food marketing. So
That's right.
first of all, what was that like? What was food marketing like? Tell me a little bit about that. What do you do in food marketing?
So it was learning about the food channels, the industry, how things go essentially from farm to, the stores or factory, unfortunately, in a lot of cases to the stores, just the whole chain of how our food gets to our table, including the marketing of it, regulations, things like that. And the reason why I picked food marketing was because I was going to college for a marketing degree. St. Joe's is very, very well known for food marketing. And my parents said, well, you might as well get a specialty in food marketing because it's still a marketing degree and nobody's ever going to not need food. So you'll always have job security. And here I am being a realtor, but I can tell you how to market a carton of milk.
So my question was to you, what do you enjoy more, staging a home or staging a hamburger?
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to say a hamburger. That's an easy one. Why'd you give me such an easy one?
Well, maybe I don't know if I
Nice.
should have. Yeah, I don't know if I should have came with something a little tougher to stage. I don't know what
Well,
that.
I'm pretty hungry right now, but yeah, nice smash burger with some cheese and lettuce and pickles.
Well,
That's
I always did wonder because when I saw food marketing, I always did wonder like the photographer that is hired to take a picture
yeah,
of like a pork chop on a plate and has to get like the lighting right and like
right.
the slap of butter on top of it. You know what I mean? Like, were you a part of that?
I
Is
was not. No,
Oh,
I
okay,
didn't get
okay.
that into the weeds with the marketing, but I don't think I would be good at that. I do have a big appetite, so I think that would be tough for me.
So it would have a big chunk out of it before they get.
Right, right.
Well, Amy, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast today. It was great to get to know you a little bit.
It sure was.
I know I'm going to see you tomorrow, which is great.
Yes.
But it was very nice to be able to sit down with you, spend some time together, and continued success to you, and good luck in 2025.
Thank you. And the same to you. I really appreciate you having me on and talking about this. And I hope we both have a great 2025.
Thanks to Amy Reuter for joining us on the podcast this week. Like Amy said on this podcast episode, you have to have a balanced approach to your marketing. And we wanted to emphasize, don't forget the tried and true old school ways of relationship building in your business. It's easy to focus and gear everything towards online involvement because we know that's where everybody is. But you also have to get out there and have those conversations face to face, voice to voice. Make sure that you're touching your people as much as possible and following up with your sphere of influence whenever you can. That not only goes a long way to get you new business, but also retains the clients that you already have. We want to be an agent for life. Well, that's it for the podcast this week. We will be back in another couple of weeks with a new topic, a new guest. And as always, if you want to hear something that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to me, jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the podcast yet or left us a review, please do so. It helps us to reach more people. Once again, this is Jason Ostrowski saying stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast.